And welcome again now, dear friends, to the Friday edition of Fresh Bread. It is Friday, January 27th, 2023. So glad you can join me today for this Friday edition of Fresh Bread. You know, I always love my Fridays. I think most people do. It's just that pick-me-up day. People are looking forward to the weekend and looking forward to our church services on Sunday the 29th. I'm going to be looking at a scripture passage from the prophet Micah toward the back of the Old Testament, Hebrew Bible. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope you can be there and join us for that Bible study and that sermon. Well, you know, this is always a very special day for me. This was my mother's birthday, January 27th. She was born January 27th, 1920. She would have been 103 had she lived. And I'll tell you what, there was a long time I thought my mom was going to hit the century mark. I mean, really did. But, you know, she made it to 97. And so we just thank God for my mom and the godly influence she was, not only to me personally, but to all of my family members, my brothers, my sisters, to her friends, to her co-workers, to her church family, to all of her relatives, to all of the people she knew. And she didn't go out and make a lot of noise about her faith. She lived it. She prayed for people. My goodness, she prayed. And she read her scriptures. I think she probably read the Bible through every year for years and years. And so I'm so thankful for my mom. It's just one of those days, kind of bittersweet, kind of sad. You know, I miss her still to this day. She's been gone now for 5 years, and miss her very much. And there's sometimes still I say, oh, I want to tell my mom about something, you know. And then I know that obviously she knows if she's up with the Lord. But you know, it's just such a blessing to have had a mother like that. I thank God for my mom, and I know not everybody had that experience. Maybe some people never even really knew their mother. Maybe their mother was separated from them either physically through a separation or of a marriage or divorce, or maybe the mother was separated through death. And so maybe one of those situations that people just had to live with, in a sense, in terms of just not having their mother there. I was so thankful. I had my mother with me for, I think, about 59 years, I guess. So that's a long time. So I'm very blessed to have had my mom with me that long. And like I said, a godly influence, a godly woman, not one that made a big deal about her. I never saw my mom do anything that she had to apologize for. Never heard her say an unkind word really about anybody. And just as sweet as could be. Loved my wife, loved her grandkids, loved her kids. I mean, so what an example, what a model she was. And she lived it, and she spoke it too. But I'll tell you what, if there was ever like a Bible quiz or something, I'd put my mom up with anybody. She knew that Bible backwards and forwards. Some of the most obscure characters in the Bible, in the Old Testament, she would know. And of course, she was a great reader. She knew all these words. If you gave her a word, she knew the meaning of all these words. You know, back in the days when she was in school, back in Maurice, Louisiana, back in the I guess that would have been the mid 1930s. They learned differently. There was a studiousness about the classroom at that time in the school system, and you weren't there to, you know, show off what you thought about yourself, or how you dressed, or how good you were in a sport necessarily, but you were there to learn and to dedicate yourself and to honor your teachers and to show respect to those in authority. And I know there's a lot of students who still do that, honestly, but I know there's also quite a few probably who don't. And you know, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that. Things have changed so much in our whole society, and I'm not sure it's always been for the better. You know, I mean, things do change, and that's one constant of life. My mom even used to say that one thing about life is going to constantly change, so you just got to be able to move with it when it does change. But anyway, I thank God for my mom. Well, let's look again at just a couple of quick passages here from James 1 before we close off until tomorrow. You know, we are to count it all joy when we encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of our faith produces endurance. Doesn't mean we don't like all the trials, or we're supposed to be happy and just shouting from the rooftop, but it means we have joy. And that means we have that undeniable awareness of the presence of God that's with us. That's kind of how I define the word joy. And we know that God's not going to leave us. He's going to go through whatever it is we're going through. He's going to stay with us. Well, friends, we'll see you tomorrow on More Fresh Bread.